We are back at Cape Lookout, my favorite place in the world. A couple weeks ago there was a pretty bad storm and some really high tides, and reports were that the island was flattened, that large areas were destroyed. So this is just a quick snapshot, October 2019, so you can get an idea of what Cape Lookout looks like after the storm. We are at the north end of the island right now, and I'll tell you what, the beaches are a lot shallower than they have been in the past. And as you can see, the dunes that used to be on one side are completely gone. It's low tide right now, or just after low tide, and already the water's halfway up. So camping at this north end, I mean, you'd have almost no protection, almost no beach above the water line. And if there was a high tide, I'm guessing it would go straight through to the Sound. You can see there how narrow that strip of beach is above the tide line. I mean, it is almost non-existent. Here you can see a good little stretch where there is actually zero beach above the tide line, which means you just can't camp this section. I would guess this is about a mile, and it's around mile 26 of the island. We are 2 hours after low tide, and the water's already halfway up. We're fine driving this, but at high tide there would be almost zero beach above this tide line. These inland roads that run behind the dunes feel like they're in pretty good shape. So between the ferry and mile 25 or so, there's a good stretch of beach where you can tell the tide does not reach, and you can camp really comfortably up here. But what we have is actually pretty crowded camping. I've never seen this many people kind of jammed together, and maybe they're one big party, but they're all in this stretch at around mile 25 or so, heading south back toward the ferry. We are at mile 29 now and getting back to where the cabins are. And yes, some of these cabins sustained some damage. So you notice the houses with the real damage to them are the two that are right on the beach and really don't have much protection from the dunes. The rest of the houses look like they lost some shingles maybe, but they're okay, and you can see people are staying in them, so still plenty of options to stay in a cabin out here at the island. Up here at the ferry, things look pretty much the same as they always have. The little cabins look to be in good shape. The bathroom is normal working operation. The area where you get off the ferry is hard packed and dry, so not much to worry about here. We are south of the ferry now, probably mile 30 to 32, 33, and there's plenty of beach above the tide line. The beach is pretty wide, and surprisingly, there's not a lot of people here. So, plenty of places to camp still. Cape Lookout is not overrun. We're on a section now where they've forced us to take the back road, at around mile 32. And again, the back road looks great, really well protected, nice dunes on both sides, perfectly normal from what I've seen over the past 4 or 5 years here at Cape Lookout. So we're at about mile 35 now, and there's a dock down here that we have camped at several times before. It's a good little spot to get oysters. My friend with the sailboat has been able to stay there, but that dock is destroyed. It is just, it's missing a bunch of sections, and those sections are just strewn all over the place out here. Not a functioning piece of infrastructure anymore. We are nearing the south end of the island, and I'm starting to see dunes that are a lot higher, that are more of a normal height. We're at the Lighthouse area. This place is in great condition. You can see that they've rebuilt the ramp just a little bit down at the end where the passenger ferry picks you up and drops you off. But other than that, no sign of any damage at all. The little parking area is good, and all the boardwalks and shelters and everything look like they're in great shape. So there's a life-saving station that was out here, US Coast Guard, and that thing finally bit the dust. I guess the storm recently was enough to just blow it right over. With this historic village area so protected by dunes and the woods and all that, I don't see any damage to any of those structures. We are working our way through, and we're going to pop out on the west facing beach, and that's where we're going to try to camp tonight. Finish out this tour of Cape Lookout and its current conditions. We are now at the far southern end of the island on the bank that is west facing. It is one of the more popular areas to fish, and the dunes are quite tall in this area. This is by far the most protected area on the island by dunes. We are setting up, probably going to camp here tonight and enjoy the next few days on the island. And Cape Lookout is still awesome. Not nearly as destroyed as you might think, and still absolutely glorious. Just waiting for adventure. Thanks for watching, y'all. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and a lot more content like this is coming y'all's way.